today we are here to actually talk about the Kenya desert and basically about deforestation happening around the globe. And David is specialist for that topic we are having today because he has made an amazing, thoughtful, and mindful film about the issue of deforestation. So we are glad. Thank you so much, David, for thinking and concentrating about this very, very important issue of environment that we all are facing right now, and the world and the globe is basically going through all that. So we welcome you for this wonderful live session. And I'm also hoping that people who are joining us gonna have a lot of benefits of knowing that deforestation is such an important issue, and we actually have to think about whatever actions we are doing and whatever we can do to basically refill that gap. We should do that. Yes. So your welcome remark, David. We would like to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to be, uh, in this live session, especially because of just how I have realized that
Yeah.
um, though we live, very far apart, the
Yeah.
issues that connect us
Yeah.
are pretty much the same.
Of
The challenges of
course.
climate change, the
Yeah.
challenges of deforestation,
Mm.
the challenges of, pollution
Yeah.
that were that were entered in the
Yeah.
festival. And
Because
really,
basic need of a human
I
being
must
is,
say
will
that
always be
it
same.
resonates
Mm.
world over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
Resonates world
Mm.
over. Yeah. So, I mean, my welcome remark is to say that we can learn from each other. We can be inspired by what people are doing across the world in different parts of the world. And we are one big family faced by similar challenges, though in different parts of the world.
Lovely. In India, we call it Vasudev Kutumbakam. It means the whole world is one big family.
The whole world is one big family indeed.
Yeah. Okay, so getting back to the topic of deforestation, of course, it's gonna be a little, I would say, deep topic, but let's simplify it for our audience. So, first of all, let's start with what exactly is deforestation in simplest language so that people are really not even aware of the term exactly. They can also understand the topic better. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I, I let me say that before we went on to do the film,
Hmm.
I understood deforestation only as the felling of trees in highly forested areas, like the protected forest areas. But we while we were doing the film, I understood that different parts of the world, different parts of our country, for example, have different kinds of vegetation. We have grasslands where you may not see many trees, but you know, mainly the grass. We have areas that do not have the large trees, but they do have shrubs.
Hmm.
And then we have the big mountain forests, which have large canopies, big trees. And so when you remove vegetation from a place in a way that is unsustainable, then you will have a problem. Even in places where we only have grass, we can still talk about deforestation when that entire grass is eliminated and it affects that ecosystem. So yes, I would put it like that. That's what I learned while we were doing this film.
What I'm understanding is that your perspective has also grown up while making film or while researching about deforestation, isn't it?
Exactly, exactly. You go to the film, you start doing the film with a different perspective, but as you get into it, if you allow yourself
Yeah.
to learn and you don't hold on to the story with which you left your house, to go and do,
Hmm.
you gain a new perspective and you're able to appreciate the topic a lot better, and you're able to give a lot more wholesome story.
Yeah, I can can totally understand that. But what do you
Yeah.
think? What are the primary drivers of deforestation in different regions, and how do they actually vary on I would say based on socio-economic factors? So how do they vary?
Okay, so I will start with the Kenyan context, for
Yeah.
example. So we have resources.
Hmm.
In some cases, we have large, you know, natural resources. We have forests. We have, uh, a lot of, uh, you know, indigenous species of trees, of animals.
Hmm.
But we also have needs. We also have competing human needs. And the thing is, generally, we expect that these resources will be exploited sustainably, that people will extract resources from nature in a
Hmm.
way that is sustainable. But that is not always the case.
Yeah.
So, for example, in some parts of our country, we have, um, people just want to survive. Nobody has the goal of over exploiting resources. But we
Obviously.
have the first problem is poverty and just the need
Hmm.
to survive. So some
Yeah.
of these communities are very poor, and they have not much opportunities,
Hmm.
or in some cases, not much knowledge.
Hmm.
So people will go with the easiest thing to do.
Hmm.
So for example, they will fell trees to either sell them to, people who are turning that tree into something else. For example, construction, furniture, and different products like that. Another thing is some will fell it for fuel so that they
Hmm.
can burn it into charcoal or use it as wood fuel for cooking and for doing things like that. And so the first thing for me that I have observed is survival. The other thing is, of course, the demand that we are seeing in the wood and wood products
Hmm.
sector. People still have a huge demand for products that are made of, for example, indigenous species of wood,
Oh,
hardwood
okay.
from the Congo, from different parts of montane forests in Africa and many different parts of the world. And the truth is, a lot of these things are also exported. So while some developed countries protect their forests and put very stringent measures
But
to protect those forests,
but David, don't you
they
think so that
they actually
somewhere
they
we need
actually
that wood
import
as
those
well?
products from Africa.
Ah,
Sorry,
but don't you think so? But don't you think so? We need those products as well.
we need those products as well. And I'm just saying that when for example a developed country uses um, products from the developing world, but they are protecting their own, uh, you see, there's a bit of a problem. There's a bit of a selfishness there.
Uh,
But we can be more innovative in this world. We
hmm,
can be more innovative to
hmm.
have more sustainable uh, measures are taken in the exploitation, for example, of forest products. We have products like bamboo,
Hmm.
which are quite sustainable.
Yeah.
Bamboo grows back up very fast and multiplies very fast, and that can be used. We can encourage the use of such products so that we use much less of the products that take much more time to grow or to grow
Yeah.
back.
Okay, so
Another
David,
case we have, for example, okay.
but I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think this conversation will otherwise will get so longer. So we have to also, compile it in bit different questions as well. So I would, I was really, really wondering that, so there are so many issues, environmental issues we all are facing in everyday lives, and I think every human being in every surrounding in every region is facing something or the other thing. But still, there are less people who are actually working towards it. So, what actually hit you that you started working towards deforestation, particularly? What actually hit you?
All right, so I produce stories on development, sustainability, on the environment. But deforestation, this particular story was inspired by what I was seeing in Kenya. We have had successive droughts year in, year out. There's a, until last year, we had a drought that lasted 5 years.
Mm.
And that was shocking. It is the worst that I've seen in this country. And I've also been receiving reports. I'm subscribed to a number of reports on deforestation alerts, on deforestation alerts in the country and in Africa in general. So when we set out to do this story, my colleagues and I were thinking that there must be a direct link between deforestation and drought.
Okay.
It was only it was only when we went and started speaking to our experts when we realized actually that while there may not be a direct link between deforestation and the lack of rain or drought, there is a direct link between deforestation and desertification. So we are literally turning our country into a desert, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
And I thought this is important, this is urgent, and because we have the opportunity of producing stories, we can also add our voices
Mm.
and make it count. Yes.
Okay. And how do you think that deforestation is actually impacting the climate change that we all are facing nowadays?
Yes, I mean, uh, it does because the moment you disrupt the way that an ecosystem preserves itself, then you're most definitely going to have a problem. All these things are interconnected. The way we receive rain and the way we preserve our environment. And when that goes on for a long period of time, then for sure, what you shall have done is you shall have disrupted nature and how it operates.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
we are contributing. And when climate change also happens, for example, in our case, we are seeing prolonged droughts.
Mm.
It's presenting as prolonged droughts, and when it rains, we have flooding.
Mm.
So what happens is that when we have prolonged droughts, for example,
Mm.
the environment takes much longer to
Oh,
regenerate.
yeah, of
When
course.
and you know our demands for every day, our demands on the environment for our daily living do not reduce because the environment is not regenerating fast enough. And when that happens, it becomes a calamity. What we are
Mm.
seeing is it's worsening by the day. So
Mm.
while our actions create climate change also worsens um, what we are seeing in the environment in terms of regeneration.
Yeah. And I must say Kenya is very beautiful, and I think because of your efforts towards deforestation, government also have done a lot of measures in 2023 as I got to know about it. So what all measures has been taken?
I mean, the government has come up with a plan for reforestation. People are planting trees, but I think the main problem that we're facing now is that yes, we can plant 10 million trees today. That is not a problem. The problem is how many of those trees actually survive, and
Exactly.
who takes the responsibility to ensure that the trees survive.
Mm.
Number two is a lot of land in Kenya is in private hands.
Mm.
So you're relying on the goodwill of the people to actually plant trees on their private land when we also have competing needs. And for example, the soil in Kenya is becoming much more acidic by the day or through the years, meaning farmers want to have much bigger tracts of land
Mm.
to have a do we have a chance that people are going to consider planting of trees?
Mm.
So I think there is need to sort of convince or persuade the public to plant more trees, especially we may need to think about trees that also have other benefits other than just environmental preservation. Uh, they, they may have other serve other needs of people. For example, avocados, fruit trees, and things like that people can also exploit for something else other than
Mm.
just you know conservation of the environment.
Fine. So we have, I think, enough discussed about what actually the problems are. Now let's move towards what actually can be the solutions and what can actually we do or we can do, or we should do actually. So I would like to ask you that what are the five measures you take personally in your life to actually sustain with this climatic problems? And let's talk about the practical things, huh? We would like to get inspired.
Practical things indeed. As an individual, one of the things that I do, I have the privilege of journalism, and one is early warning. I need to be able to use my platform, and I do use my platform to inform people of the dangers of some of the things that we are doing, and that if we continue going in this direction, we could have problems. So I warn people of what their actions could do, but also I do solutions journalism in which I present solutions that are being taken by other people elsewhere in the world that our communities or our audiences can implement at home. I think on a general scale, if, you know, most of these communities have a chance of doing something else other than destroying or, deforestation or relying mainly on the forests. If we looked at our economy more wholesomely, if we implemented policies that help communities or assist the communities to benefit a lot more. If you look at our situation in Kenya, for example,
Mm,
one thing that we can do and that we are doing as journalists is to highlight opportunities for sustainable investments. One story that my colleagues and I are working on now is revolving around a main, I think the biggest delta
mm.
in East Africa, which has experienced problems of degradation in the past, but which
Okay.
is being restored, and some parts of it have been restored. There
Mm,
are opportunities for people to do sustainable investment there, which will benefit both the community and the investors. And I
mm,
think if we expose more such solutions, the world can be a better place. One community at a time, one area at a time.
mm. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for your wonderful approaches and thank you for your mindful approaches, I would say. And what do you think? What are your suggestions? Because, we all are very, I would say, spoken beings nowadays, and we all think that speaking is the foremost right we all own. So, what would you like to suggest to the government of the world, of different regions, that what they can do to actually do better things in saving the environment or deforestation, for that matter?
Yeah, I think when it comes to deforestation and the environment in general, there's a lot of talk at the high level, and people generally understand what's going on and what needs to be done, and there's money flowing at that level. But the action is not happening at the very local level. I think more and more we need to find ways in which that money and that action can happen at the local level. We are making big promises at both national and international level, but
Mm,
those promises are not being turned into action. Uh, in our country, I know that communities already know the importance of forests
mm,
and of conservation in general. These
mm,
communities can be empowered with the right skills, the right tools, and the
mm,
resources to be
mm,
able to do this work at the local level. Um, they want to benefit from their lands, but they can
mm,
benefit from their lands sustainably if
mm,
we enable them to have green investments at that level. But when we talk about green investments, we are simply giving countries money, but that money is not getting to the communities. So the communities continue to exploit their environments unsustainably because they owe themselves a survival.
yeah.
So can we find ways in which the resources that are being shared at the international level, at the big tables, in big boardrooms, can also get to the local level where green investment is actually necessary?
Mm. That's an amazing term. That's an amazing term you have just given, green investment. And I think that can start. anyone can start from their own house by taking very, very small measures like saving water, for example. So we can actually save RO water, the RO wastewater, and we can reuse it for washing the clothes, or there are so many other things we can do that. And I'm happy to see that for the audience is also participating. One of the comments came that deforestation is a global challenge. Glad you highlighted the very real challenge. There's a need for policy level change. And I would also request audience that you can also, of course, throw some questions and throw some inputs and outputs of the conversation we are right now having. Okay, so David, moving on, that I would also like to understand that what do you think? What can be some approaches towards the reforestation or the afforestations, so that effectively actually we can do something towards this issue?
I'm not sure I heard your question.
Okay, so let
Did you say
me repeat that.
reforestation?
Yes, I've asked you that what do you think, what can be some innovative approaches towards the reforestation and the afforestation?
All right. So some of the solutions that I have seen and that my colleagues have also spoken about in our conversations is one is schools. There are people who are using the schools approach where they educate young people and school going children on the importance of forests, the importance of trees. And then once they educate them, they organize them into plant trees. And then they go ahead to either distribute seedlings or create nurseries together with these people. Now, what happens is children do not only plant trees in school.
Yeah.
Once they learn about it and they take interest in it, they plant trees at home. And one thing we've also seen is that you cannot underestimate the influence that children have on
Yeah.
their families and on the society in general. So that we've seen as one of the innovative ways that people are doing. Secondly, we also seeing locally that people are integrating tree planting into the social, you know, into their social lives. For example, if someone is if celebrating their birthday and say turning 8 or turning 10, they plant 10 trees. So you plant
Uh-huh.
a number of trees that
Of
coincide
course.
with, with the number of years that you've lived on Earth. And then you challenge yourself to take care of those trees for as long as you live, so that as you
Yeah.
live, you're able to see many more trees every year. Another way is we've also seen an organization that has integrated it into uh, fun activities. For example, you know when you go out, with your friends and you in the when you're doing some nature walk and things like that, they have what they call seed balls, and you can
Yeah.
use the seed balls to to throw or act like you're shooting each other and play with them. The fun things that people are doing. But if you do that, for example, in the rainy season, that can actually grow and survive. So it's basically just integrating uh, knowledge and action on tree planting into our daily lives.
I think to add
Yeah.
on, we can actually normalize gifting the plants and the trees in weddings, in birthdays, and whatever the grand or great occasions we are having, rather than exchanging the unnecessary, unwanted things to just show off. We can actually do that, and we can actually take that ownership. Oh, lovely. We are actually having a life to the one life we are actually owning right now. So,
Yes. Yes. That's correct. And one thing also that we've realized that may not work anymore is threats. When you inspire people, it works better than when you
yeah.
try to scare people. So I think we need to more and more inspire people, show them what's working, what could be better, what can be improved if we take action, as opposed to scaring them with, it yeah.
That's a beautiful approach, I must say, in general life as well, because I think threatening can never work. The moment we actually show love and respect towards environment and the nature, things goes well rather than making people threaten about, oh, we should not, we should do that, we should not do that, we should this, we should that, rather than we should just say, okay, let's do that together and then let's, make things better, make our environment, to make this earth better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Wonderful
Yeah.
conversation. I'm actually really enjoying it, but I think we should not take it as long. This really wants to have it. And we should catch up some other time with more interesting ideas and topics. And anything else you want to add up before we sum this up?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think from where we sit, I had the privilege of doing this film with three other people that I have known for a very long time, and that made it very easy. People with whom we went to college, and we have worked for my co-producer Juma. We
Mm.
went to the same college.
Okay.
Cameraman Edwin, we went to the same college.
Mm.
Our editor Duncan, we have worked with him for a very long time, for close to 10 years, so it made it easy. But I mean, something that perhaps could be of value to fellow filmmakers and journalists is that when we left, when we set out to do this story, we were
Mm.
pursuing the connection between drought and deforestation.
Yeah.
But we were not sticking to our story.
Mm.
There is a question which I believe many of us ask, and which I ask every time I'm interviewing anyone. And after
Mm.
we've asked all the questions that we have, we like to ask the source. So, what is it that we should have asked you? What question do you think we should have asked you? Or what is the one
Mm.
thing that perhaps we should have asked you, but we have missed? And when we asked that question, one of our sources, Professor Vincent Onywere, he told us the rain in Kenya does not come from the highlands.
Yeah.
The rain in Kenya largely comes from the sea. And when we are not getting enough rain, we need to find out what's happening at sea.
Mm.
However, one thing that I think you should tell our audience is that deforestation is actually leading to desertification. And
Oh.
when we look deeply
Mm.
into that idea, it turned out to be the story that we told the world, and which we are now talking about today. So I
Mm.
think as journalists, as filmmakers, we should understand that the story is not ours. We are telling other people's stories, and we are really just granting a platform for them to tell their stories. And
Mm.
when the more opportunity that we create for people to tell their own stories, to have their authentic voice, the better the storytelling becomes. I think that's what I
Mm.
would say.
Lovely. I think one of the person also said that we need to be more responsible and take care of the planet. Small actions by would surely help in saving the planet and making it better. Yes, definitely. That's what we are discussing
That's
right
good.
now. And that's what we encourage everyone to take smaller actions towards yourself first and towards nature, of course. That, I would say there are so many things we can actually do on a daily basis. For example, that's a personal thing I'm sharing with everyone that I always carry my small cup and a spoon and a bowl. Why? Because I don't want to waste any disposables which are available outside. So that's what I do because I don't want to generate any kind of waste through my food. So I'm always carrying my utensil. It's a very small utensil. There's no weight also. But there's so much weight I'm actually decreasing from the environment by not generating any waste by carrying a small amount of weight. So yeah, it's a simple approach that I am following it since 4 years, and I think it's a beautiful approach. I'm actually having a lot of benefit through that, and the nature is also supporting me by doing such means. So my mentor always guides me that whenever you support nature, nature will support you back in actually 10 times better. What do you think, David? Is it?
I totally agree. And
Yeah.
another way that I think we can support is that many local farmers do not have access to market. And
Mm,
because of that, other than farming, they end up doing other things that may not be sustainable. If you are in a place where you can support a local farmer by buying the produce from them, please do it.
mm,
Because what you're doing is you're putting decent, sustainable income in their hands, which then prevents them from looking for alternatives which may be destructive to the environment that we have. Yeah,
Lovely. And I
because
would
some of
also
us
like,
prefer to
yeah,
buy from large corporations things that they could buy from the local farmer.
yeah,
Why don't we encourage the large corporations to buy from the local farmer and
I
create a
agree.
network in which everybody benefits and everyone is happy?
Definitely. And I would also like to encourage the audience that everyone should really watch this beautiful, very thoughtful, and a mindful 15 minutes film of Kenya Desert Alert, which is actually a finalist also at ALT EF. 2024's Best Environmental Journalism Film category. And of course, the film is available to watch online at the link at the page of ALT EFF. So go get a look, watch it, understand, and open your mind a little more towards the nature, climate, deforestation, and whatnot. And I think towards yourself as well.
True. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Lovely
Thank you very much.
conversation, David. Thank you for joining us. And we are hoping to see more of your work in coming times. And thank you for making such a thoughtful film and sharing with everyone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, namaste. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.